Good morning, sports fans. It's time to start your week right with finding out what went wrong with Haynesy'z Hot Takes.
Whoa, hello. What's up, everybody? A little sandstorm here. Come on, who doesn't like this? Start the day? Get you freaking jammed up, huh? Welcome, everybody, to episode 2 of Haynesy'z Hot Takes. Wow, let's settle in here, huh? What a way, huh? Gotta calm down now. Gotta calm down the nerves. What's up? So again, yes, this is episode 2. Today we are going to retouch on some things that we talked about yesterday. We'll get into Knicks, Yankees, a little bit of Rangers, the Giants. Big topic today, NCAA basketball. A lot of exciting games, and the game is the level of play has been awesome this year. So we'll chat about that, and then we'll talk about the transfer portal situation. Me being a coach myself, I have a little bit more insight on the transfer stuff, and I got a lot of thoughts on that. So let's just go ahead and let's get right into our first segment, huh? Why don't we start off with a little bit of catching up with the Big Blue, huh? All right, welcome back. Let's get into the Big Blue report, catch up, whatever the F it is we're going to call it. Again, everything is in development right now, guys, so we'll if you can just bear with me, we'll get that stuff figured out. Okay, again, it's a brand new studio. I got my man Jay working behind the scenes. How are we doing on those sponsors, by the way, Jay? Still nothing. Nothing. Surprised. I thought after yesterday's episode we'd be a hit. What about Tough Actin' Tenactin', huh? Athlete's Foot Jock Itch? No? All right. Well, here's to the new sponsors. All right, guys, let's kick things off. Let's get right into the Giants situation here. My issue is with Shane, right? To be honest with you, I never really liked the cut of the guy's jib. You know what I mean? Like getting the whole kind of like pretty boy thing, just it's really, really off-putting. And the dude's not taking any accountability. It's just showing him how he got rid of Dable. Their relationship kind of frayed at the end, and I think what that was from was I think Shane thought, hey, I'm giving you the guys, and Dable disagreed. Didn't think he had the guys, and I agree with Dable. I don't think this Giants roster is filled with anybody. There are guys that are supposed to be superstars, but they don't play like superstars, and that's the issue. And to me, that's on Shane. Also, the kicking fiascos, not having roster in place, is that falls on the GM to me. And the biggest issue I have is they're letting Shane be in charge of this hire. They're letting him kind of dictate who's going to be interviewed. If that's the case, extend the guy now. But why is somebody that potentially may not be here leading this search? I know a lot of this has to do with Mara's, cancer diagnosis and all the stuff he's going through, But at the same time, if he's not going to be there, then what's the point? We're going to hire the wrong guy. And there's going to be it's going to be an attractive job for a GM. You have Dart. You'll have the potential to bring in your own coach. You got neighbors, you have an office, and you have a defense that's supposed to be good. But again, I would have preferred if they would have, made a couple trades here. Maybe stacked a couple draft picks, to kind of go in, because we're not far from being a playoff team. I know Cam went on a podcast or went on somebody's stream, and he said, it's 11-5 next year. A lot of people think, they were getting hammered in the media of 11-5. Well, first off, what else is he supposed to say? I would have said 16-0. I'm not going to tell anybody, hey, I'm going to get 5 losses, but that's just me. But 11-5, they're not. I mean, if you think about this year, how close are they being to an 11-5 type of team. Problem is they're just missing a couple players, and then a couple players and a couple of coaches that know what the hell they're doing. You know, there are games that you can put on that coaching staff. So it's exciting because I don't think there needs to be a full rebuild and tear down. That's so you're not. I don't think you don't have to come in and necessarily clean the roster out. They have to, figure out the coaching. That's the big key, and you need to figure out who's going to work best with Jackson Dart. I was listening to somebody the other day, and they were talking about, in St. Louis, same coach and quarterback, and that's if you got your coach and quarterback right, you can build around all that other stuff. It's hard to be excited because of the fact that Shane's leading all this crap. Since 23, this dude is 11-34. 11-34. Same thing with like I said with the Yankees. All these New York teams. The New York has the attraction. You have an owner that's trying to win and spend money. So it's the people in place that are making these decisions. And honestly, I feel a little bit like I do with the Giants that I do about the Yankees with the GM situation. It's you're getting the wrong people. And I just hope the team's competitive, going forward. You don't want them to lose, but at the same time, I also, don't mind getting a higher draft pick. So I'm not going to root for them to lose, but if they lose, I'm not going to let it ruin my day. There's a little bit of positive there. But on that note, we're going to go ahead and jump right from that into our Yankee segment. Coming up a little bit later, you will get my picks for tomorrow's Thanksgiving slate of games as well. So be on the lookout for Haynesy'z hot picks. Oh, Mike, that just came up with that. All right, so Tinactin, no word from Tinactin. So we're just going to go ahead and take a little break, and we'll be back after this. Welcome back, everybody. I don't even know if you went anywhere. So, we're back together. Oh, Barking Dog, what's up? For those of you that are not joining us on the video cast, I am enjoying some coffee out of my Final Four mug, New Orleans, where I did get to see, I was there in person, as I got to see Caleb Love bury one of the greatest shots in North Carolina history. Side note, you will get my fandom throughout this, because it's hard for me, not to express my feelings for the teams that I love. You may not love them, but hey, we can talk about that stuff. I want this to be very interactive. I got to be there for Coach K's last game. Shed a tear. Bye. And I always feel like it's best. I know I'm going to talk more about the teams that I follow and watch, because obviously I have a little bit more info, but I'm also going to cover and talk about, the other New York sports teams as well, just because I see a lot of those things. And we'll touch them all, baby. We'll touch them all. So let's get back into the Yankees. All right, because I can't. This again, this has been my driving force behind all this. It's just my frustration with this organization. And I just watch more and more of HAL, and I get more and more frustrated with his just lack of competitiveness, man. The Dodgers have overtaken the Yankees as like kind of the face of baseball because they're winning. And it's like, HAL's okay with that. We're in the playoffs every year. We're spending money. We're doing things. We're this now. We're filling up the stadium, and that's good enough. Like he has. It doesn't seem like this dude has any desire to want to be like that. And I understand he's not his father, but it's like, dude, like maybe you shouldn't be running the team. Maybe the sister should. All right, shout out PO. Okay. Because if you don't love this team, you don't love this franchise, then why are you here? And this is my problem with sports being a business, and I'm tired of hearing people say, "Oh, it's a business, it's a business, it's a business." It shouldn't be then. It shouldn't be, because you're continuing to rob people with your ticket prices, and there are a lot of teams that aren't trying to win, And if you're not trying to be competitive, you're not trying to win, then there's no point. If it's just all about turning profits, then you've ruined the purity of the sport. And that's what's happening in all of our sports. And again, we'll touch on that a little bit later when we get into the college basketball side. But HAL just, again, why I think he's content with all this is because there's been no changes with Brian. Why do they think that Brian Cashman is the only guy that can operate in New York? 2009, man. 2009. That's a long time in Yankee land. This guy's had a lot of bad contracts. He's had some really good moments, and he's had some really good stuff. Isn't that your job? You're going to hit, you got to hit a lot more than you miss. And the fact that we haven't won a World Series and we haven't been to one, it's not cutting it. And I don't understand why it's okay with HAL. Because, again, the problem is it's not the players. It's not the manager. I don't put a lot of this on Boone. I put a lot of this on Brian. It's the players and it's Brian because it's the players that Brian's signing. Again, it's just so frustrating because there's still $15 million owed to DJ LeMahieu on top of the $22 million for Grisham, right? And then you want to add in Aaron Hicks' money, and it's like that's almost $40 million for Trent Grisham. $40 million for that because you can't spend that money. You can't spend that's $40 million we can't spend, and you overpaid. You overpaid on Grisham. I do not mind the Yankees overpaying for guys, but it's got to be the right guys. It's got to be the guys that you want, right? Like we want Cody Bellinger. You want okay? You might have to overpay. Don't overpay guys we don't want or don't need. And the beauty of Trent Grisham, why Grisham was an unbelievable guy for us last year, $5 million. I don't think he's a $22 million guy, but I guess time will tell. Maybe Brian's got some tricks up his sleeves. The core of this team is running out of time. Your Coles, your Judges, your Stantons, right? These guys are on the downturn, and you got to take advantage of it because they can still help you win games. They're still good enough to win games if you put the right piece around them, and you don't have to spend money at every damn position, right? This is why this is a Haynesy'z hot take for you. I'm a Volpe guy. I do not give me Corsi. Let Volpe stay there. I like Volpe at short, Jazz at second. McMahon, I think, $16 million he's making. Offensively, he's not going to give you much. He's supposed to give you a little bit, more pop. But again, defensively, you need you guys to win. That's a good spot to have a guy on. Have a defensive-minded guy. Murakata, I know he's a third baseman, first base guy. The only issue is he's a strikeout guy. He strikes out a ton, and we already do that. But McMahon does as well. I don't know what Murakami's going to cost. I will tell you this, though. That other Japanese pitcher that's now available. Did anybody see what he said to the Dodgers or about the Dodgers? He said he does not want to go join those guys. He's trying to beat them. Love that. I love that attitude. That's a guy you want to go after right there. But here we are once again. It's early, but we'll see what Cashman can do. But it looks like the Jays are willing to spend. The Red Sox are willing to spend. The Red Sox getting Sonny Gray. It's a solid pickup for them. But good luck when you come back to the Bronx, Sonny, because you couldn't do it when you're in pinch strips. How are you going to do it when you're in the opposing teams? And these games are going to mean a lot more. So I'm not worried about that signing at all. For the Red Sox, it's a solid pickup. They need to help them in their rotation. But it's not anything that I'm going to lose sleep over. Sonny Gray coming back into the division. Not worried about you, pal. The Blue Jays are going to spend. We know that. The Dodgers spend. The Mets spend. And we spend. The Yankees spend. I'm not saying we don't spend. But we're not spending it on superstars. We're spending on aging superstars. Our guys are trying to take a damn flyer on because the damn analytics of it all. This is probably my favorite thing is all you heard him say, talking about Alex Bregman, why they didn't go after Bregman. They didn't like the way his swing played in Yankee Stadium. By that I mean this is what's coming from like the Yankees. They don't like the way that Bregman's swing plays. In Houston and Boston it plays well because of the Crawford boxes and left in Houston and the monster. Okay, so the guy's not going to hit a ton of home runs. Did anybody watch what he did at Yankee Stadium this year? The guy was singles and doubles. Killed us. Right? But we don't want that. We don't want that. And then you hear more about that they have no interest in him. Well, again, you can't have him and you got to find something with McMahon. That's the issue. So I understand that aspect of it. But why they wouldn't have gone after him before is crazy. This guy's a proven winner. He's a gamer. Those are the gritty guys that you need. It's just the over analyzation that this freaking department does, whoever Brian and his cronies are. And I'm a big Brian Cashman fan. And like, I feel like, the guy, he always makes us competitive. It's just within the last couple of years, this guy's just trying to get too cute with everything and trying to outmaneuver and outsmart everybody. And we're left here empty-handed. And so it's not working. That's it's not working. Okay? They went to the World Series 2 years ago. Got knocked out in the divisional series. So you got worse. You didn't get better. You got worse. If Garrett Cole's pitching, all right. The only thing I'd say is if Cole's pitching, you might have won a couple more games to win the division. Maybe if that whole series is different. But just adding Garrett Cole, I still think the Blue Jays had a better team. By thinking we're adding, Garrett Cole, what does that do? I don't think it does much of. Obviously it gives you that, but it's not giving us enough to put us over the top. And that's been the problem, is that we're not a preseason favorite, and that's roster building right there. So we're not getting the right guys. Again, it's early. He may have something up his sleeve via trade or who they're talking to. They kind of keep things close because they don't, obviously they're not trying to let things get out there. And a lot of these other teams, will fake bid to just try to drive the price up. And the Yankees are a victim of having to go with that. I keep hearing the Mets are going to go after Belly. If they take Soto and then Bellinger, if we try to go after him too, and they just outbid us, again, if it gets too crazy, I'm not mad at HAL for bowing out of the Soto crap, because that was ridiculous. That was too much. They want to go do that with Bellinger, go for it. We don't need to overpay for aging superstars, right? Again, Bellinger, if you look, hot and cold years. So his consistency isn't there. He's probably going to get over $30 million. That's what Boris is going to want. He's going to want 30 more. So if the Mets want him, how much more are they willing to overpay for him? And I think that's what Brian was worried about. So that's why I don't know, because I can't make any logical damn reason why you signed Trent Grisham for $22 million. I don't. I think Harrison Bader, you could have. I think they're thinking Bader $10 to $12 million. Give me Harrison Bader for $10 to $12 million. He's not going to give you the pop in the stadium that you got from Grisham. He can steal bases. He can play defense. And he loves being in New York. It's going to cost you $12 million less. That's $12 million that you can go spend somewhere else. That's $3 or $4 or $5 million that you can kind of go overpay certain other guys at position. I think financially we're kind of strapped because, we're not going to be able to go get 2 or 3 superstars. That's the issue. It's like going to sign Belly and then smaller moves. Sign Tucker, smaller moves. Going to make a trade for Tatis, not sign anybody else. It's a one and done deal. And that's the problem with these bad contracts. It's because of all these bad contracts that we're having to pay, we don't have that money to go forward this year. And that's my problem with Brian, because of these bad contracts. Those are on him. That's on him and his stupid analytical department. And I would call them stupid because I don't care if they're from MIT or Harvard or where they went. They don't know ball. They don't know baseball. You can't tell me that their success rate matches what the investment is. That's my problem, is they just keep believing in this. Again, you lost the division, so it didn't work. Jose, it works over the 162, but it's a crapshoot in playoffs. Didn't work in the 162 because you didn't finish first. I don't know what it would take. The Yankees almost have to just completely fall apart for any movement on that, or they have to be an overwhelming favorite and then blow it. But again, if they're the overwhelming favorite, that's not on Cashman, right? Then that's going to be Boone going. So it's just, it's this whole song and dance until some more moves can come out. Hopefully here soon they can get something to kind of get, because right now that's the only move, and that's not moving the needle for anybody. That'll do it for our little Yankee segment here, and we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll dive into some other stuff. All right, bye. Sandstorm, Vanderlei Silva, Sandstorm. We do have some New York Knicks basketball this evening. The Knicks are playing, I believe, are they playing Milwaukee? No, they play Milwaukee Friday. Charlotte tonight, Bucks Friday, and the Raptors on Sunday. 3 very winnable games. They need to start stacking some wins because these early season wins will catch up to you. Later in the season when it comes to seeding. I hate when they play this game of if you're not the 1 seed and you can be the 3. No, go be the highest seed that you can get. You want to have home court advantage. You want to try to have the easiest route. Don't play, the game of mix and match. Just go win as many games as you can. Keeping guys healthy is going to be the key for this game. You can afford a Hart or an OG or McHale to miss, a few games. If Cat or Brunson miss significant time, then the team's in trouble. You got to keep these guys healthy. Again, defense, hopefully that starts coming together. That's continuity. That's OG being out obviously helps, on that end, but they got to start playing some defense because that's in the playoffs. You're going to have to guard some guys. Hopefully, hopefully we get can go 3 for 3 here. Coming off the next one, that'd be 4 in a row. 3 + 1 is 4. Yeah. All right, we'll get a little math in here. Look at us. All right. They need to start separating themselves from kind of like the middle to the bottom of the pack, because especially if somebody does get hurt, right? Then that gives you a little bit of breathing room. So while you got the core guys healthy here, you got to stack up these wins. The Knicks are still a favorite. I think they are. What are they? 10-1. 10-1 to win the championship. At this point of the year, those are legit odds. Again, in the East, they have, as long as everybody stays healthy, they have the best roster. They got playoff experience, and this core group has playoff experience together. Cat's been to the conference finals, I think, 2 or 3 years in a row. That stuff plays in. So, again, if they can just get themselves, they have a solid enough regular season, keep everybody healthy, again, try to lock up one of those top seeds early, they'll be good. But, again, the concerns are defense, especially on the rebounding end, and again, is there that toughness and grit with this team. You're going to get that with a Tom Thibodeau because you had no choice. Sometimes I feel like being a little softer on these guys, to me, that's what, OG and Cat are 2 guys that kind of have a tendency to be considered soft. And you're not going to win championships, with that. So those guys got to lock in and find a way to dig. The Knicks also have a tendency to beat up on, the bad teams. And then they struggle with the good teams. They got to continue to beat the bad teams. And that the win over the Heat, that was solid, but they got to start showing that they're beating playoff level teams. Last time they played Milwaukee, Giannis basically just dominated them and Cat disappeared. It'll be interesting to see which version of Cat shows up. Let's go ahead and transition now to college basketball. Okay, my background is I am a prep school basketball coach. I coach high school players and post grads, and I help get them, to college to the next level. So I got a lot of experience with coaches, with players, transfer portal, NIL stuff. It's just crazy. College basketball has always been one of my favorite sports. I live and breathe it. The game had been ruined. You didn't have great programs anymore. You had guys that were trying to chase kind of superstars. And it's funny because, a few years ago, you had Kentucky, Dukes that were bringing in all these 5-star freshmen, trying to load up on the freshmen, but they were struggling to beat the older teams. Like that Duke team with Zion and RJ. They couldn't get, I think they got to what? I don't think they made it to the Sweet 16. Because it is hard to win, with that. But at the same time, now you've got everybody is trying to just recruit all older guys. They don't even care as much about what's on their resume, as long as there's, you've played for 4 or 5 other teams and played for a few years. Yeah, we'll bring you in. And all these teams struggle. There's no continuity. There's a level of selfishness because these guys are coming in and someone with 1 or 2 years left, and it's just like, hey, I'm trying to get mine because I'm trying to go pro. That's their motivation for winning, is because that'll get them a little bit closer to that. But they don't buy into the program as much. That's why, they're struggling a little bit right now. But, with what Shaka Smart's doing out of Marquette, hasn't lost the transfer, hasn't had a kid transfer out, and also, has been bringing in transfer. Do I think that's sustainable? No. You cannot be open to it. You got to have that middle ground of I'm going to recruit some freshmen. I'm going to build players in, and then I'm going to find a couple pieces through the transfer portal. But some of these rosters have built teams, with 11 or 12 new players. Like I just, maybe by the time they get to February or March, that'll work out. But I'm not a fan of these teams that are just changing rosters every freaking year. That's why I love the fact that freshmen are playing so well right now. Peterson at Kansas, DeBansa at BYU, Cam Boozer, Caleb Wilson. I could see Caleb Wilson in person, UNC basketball camp, and he is just otherworldly impressive. To be at his size and have the athleticism and the skill that he has at his age, it's crazy. I love watching these freshmen go because they got a little bit lost in the shuffle. And I want to see teams with freshmen win. Again, I don't think you're not going to win with 3 or 4 just freshmen, but you got to have some core guys on your roster. Your junior seniors that have battled through and been through it a little bit. And I know the problem is that nobody wants to develop guys because if you develop somebody, you're worried that they're going to leave and go play for somebody else. That's the risk you're taking. That's why I go to Shaka. If you're doing your job, he's not losing guys. You got to try to fight the NIL stuff. That's the other thing. I don't think they don't give any freshmen NIL deals. And it's hurting them a little bit. But at the same time, if come March, they're going to be a tougher team because you're playing for the same coach. You're playing for the same system. I absolutely hate these eligibility rules. The guys coming from the G League, that's a friggin' joke. Boo those guys out of the damn arenas because they don't belong. This is college sports. Move everything off campus then and just call it another league then, because these dudes that are 24, 25, 26, 27 years old, stop. Get a job. Move on with your life. You're getting dudes that are 26, 27 that have the eligibility left because they're 8 credits shy of a friggin' associate's degree. Those are the guys that we're going to put on TV. Stop. And the sad part is that these coaches are the ones that can stop it, but they're not. They're the ones that say, okay, we're not going to recruit these guys anymore. Whether they can or can't, they can put a stop to it. But they won't. They won't do it because they want to get paid. So they're trying to win as fast as possible. And that's the big problem, is that they don't have room to develop. You've got to be as good as you can be, as fast as you can be. That's why everybody's rushing all this stuff. And it's hurting recruiting too. Like I said, I've got players of mine have been affected by it because a lot of these college coaches, they don't want to recruit freshmen. I will talk to them and they will tell me, these D1 coaches will tell me, we're not looking at freshmen. We're going to look at the transfer portal and then we'll circle back. Almost unless you're a 4 or a 5-star freshman, it's very, very hard, to get recruited because they don't care what you look like. They're not even looking at you. It's definitely changed the landscape. That's why you're seeing a lot more of these guys go JUCO or go, D2. That's why you're seeing some really good Division II basketball, because you're seeing a lot of these guys that should go, that are generally a few years ago or Division I level players, are falling to Division II because the Division I's are filling their back end rosters with transfers. I don't think that's sustainable. You're going to see teams that are going to win and then completely different roster the next season. It's going to be like how it is in the NBA or NFL. Like when teams win a championship, guys got their ring, guys got their stuff. All right, they're going to go and find something else. And so I don't know what the fix is. Obviously, the NIL stuff plays into it a ton because certain places have way more money, way more resources. It's no longer about the coach or the program. Assistant coaching, it used to be about recruiting. If you're trying to get a job at the Division I level, it's like, all right, what kind of guys can you recruit? Who can you bring in? That's not recruiting anymore at that level, because when it comes down to it, most of these kids are going to choose, how much am I going to get NIL? How much am I going to get? And they backdoor a lot of these kids too. Again, I can tell you from personal experience. I had one of my players was from a D1 school, was promised $30,000, was told $30,000. Sorry, 28. It was $28,000 NIL. Life-changing money for this young man too. Life-changing money. $28,000. He got paid 7. He got paid 7 out of 28. That's why he transferred. He said, they lied to me. I didn't like it. He wasn't even the one that was asking for all that. That's what they offered. And that's what they offered to him. And then paid him a quarter of that. So of course a kid's going to be disgruntled because he had no problems with the basketball court, with the on-court stuff. His issues were that he felt lied to and that they weren't taking care of him and looking after him. So it's hard for him to trust them. It's this crazy time for college basketball. It's also right now these freshmen are doing an unbelievable job because the game is exciting. Now tomorrow you got Michigan State, Carolina, Duke, Arkansas. There's just slate after slate of awesome college basketball games. I got my Tar Heel stuff on. I'm going to have to change out of it soon because one of my players is at Virginia Tech. So they got a game. So, this year, Carolina sits backseat to VT. VT is at the top. I got to get some gear. But yeah, there's only been a few times I've had to cheer against UNC, and it's whenever I've had players, any of my players that I've coached have played against them. I'm still a big Carolina fan. A lot of really good games, coming up over the next few days. Thanksgiving is always a great time for college basketball. I used to go to MSG whenever they used to be the preseason NIT. I got to see some really good games. So it's always a fun time of year because you get really good matchups. So I like college basketball over college football. College football, early on in the season, I mean, how many games do you see? There's like 3 good games a weekend. Other than that, it's 58-3. Like, stop. I'm not. It's tough to watch. So for me, I'm a semi-college football fan. I don't really have a team that I follow, but once it kind of gets closer, to the playoffs here, I love the playoff aspect. That's fun. College basketball is just so much better, and it's at a high level right now. So I'm looking forward to watching. I'll probably watch more college football than I will watch NFL. I haven't even looked at who's playing, but I know Detroit. Let's look that up. Let's see who's playing. Let's see who plays tomorrow. All right, so tomorrow, yeah, we got Lions and Packers, 7-3, 7-4, Chiefs and Cowboys, Bengals and Ravens. Again, preseason, these look like great games. And on Friday, got Bears and Eagles. Yikes. My Giants play Monday. We'll preview them once we get to Monday. We'll get into some of these scores and everything here in just a few minutes when I get into the pick segment. But we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will we'll touch a little bit about the Jets, a little bit about the Mets, and then we'll get to our picks. All right, so stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, love you too. All right. Welcome back. All right, let's talk some JV team. I'm just kidding. I won't do that. And the reason I don't talk a ton about Jets and Mets, but I want to, is I'm not as I have friends that are big fans, so I get some in-depth info on them. But it's hard to talk about stuff that I'm not fully engulfed in. All right, and the Mets and Jets are fall into those categories. I've always been one. I've developed a little bit of a soft spot for them. At times, I have family members through marriage, that are Jets fans, and some friends, and I have some friends that are also, Mets fans, and I feel bad for them. But then every time they start to get a little success, then they want to be Big Brother. Not happening, right? That was my whole problem that was my whole problem with the Mets when they got Soto. You didn't like. You guys thought that was it. It didn't do you anything. Let's keep that chatter down low. But I do like to trade. For the Mets. Simeon's won a World Series, I think 2 World Series. And he ups their defense. Their defense was awful. So he's going to make them a better defensive team. What that means for Pete Alonso, you don't know, because obviously, Stearns has been talking quite a bit about how he wants to tighten up the defense. That's not Pete Alonso's. It's not his thing. He's a solid, okay defender, but he's not a Gold Glove guy there. If you tighten up all the positions around, the first baseman is not, for instance, with the Yankees, they needed Goldschmidt because everybody else in the infield was brutally bad. So I think Simeon, shows them. Obviously, the Mets are not done. There's going to be a ton more they're going to be doing. Cohen's getting older, right? Like, he's not. I think he said he won 2 championships in the first 5 years. He's 0 for 5. So I don't think patience is his game. And Stearns is kind of a guy that wants to build through the farm system. He's got the wrong boss for that. It'll be interesting to see kind of who wins that battle of what they try to do here. But they obviously need, help in the rotation as well. So they're going to be super active. The Jets, do we really want to talk about them? I mean, what the hell is there to talk about? Aaron Glenn, I can't figure out if I like him or not. I liked him at first. I like how kind of, he came in, hey, I'm taking over now. This way things are going to be done. But it's like, the cockier you are and the more you talk like that, you got to be able to back it up. And if you come in too hard too early, then you lose a crowd. Plus the way he treats the media, he just kind of down talks them. I don't have to tell you anything. And he said, shut up. You're doing a press conference, so you got to talk about something, pal. And he just thinks he's like this super sneaky guy. Well, both your quarterbacks suck, pal. Okay, so I don't know who you think you're tricking or who you're keeping up at night. but your quarterbacks are not bothering anybody. It'll be interesting to see who ends up winning more games this year between the Jets and the Giants. I almost think the Jets kind of have a little bit better of a chance. If you're looking at the end of their schedule, in Jets land, they just need the quarterback. That's what they're looking for. I don't know if that's in next year's draft. The Giants didn't think we were getting our quarterback in this year's draft, so you never know. But at least they're going to be, they're going to be in position. What I like for the Giants about where we're at right now in the draft is it's unfortunate because there's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks, and if there's a couple of really good ones, or at least one or two, Giants have a top pick and don't need that quarterback. That's a lot of trade value there. And so I don't know what the Jets are going to do if they're going to try to go after one of these quarterbacks, or if they want to go, they're going to try to go via trade or free agency, or what they're going to do with their draft picks. They got to try to get something going, on over there. Woody Johnson, I've never been a big fan of his. I think he kind of is a little too involved in some of the day-to-day stuff, which I get as an owner you should want to be, but he should also be a little bit smarter because they've been a dumpster fire for so long. Hey, let's talk some Buffalo Bills, huh? They suck. I wanted to be a Bills fan. I wanted to be a fan. I'm an upstate New York guy, way closer to MetLife than I am to Ralph Wilson or whatever the hell that new stadium is called, New Era or whatever. The Bills, soft spot again because lovable losers, right? And if the Giants are down, it's like, hey, they're going to have somebody that's got to win, right? And so I'm like, I try to follow them a little bit. All that went out the window this year. Well, the problem is their fans, too, when they say, we're the only New York team. We're the real New Yorkers. First off, Buffalo's Canada. I've been there. Beautiful city, Canada. Okay? I could care less about the Giants having their stadium in New Jersey. Doesn't matter. The Bills proved that when Toronto played the Yankees and they made a whole video thing for Toronto. So you proved right there. The Bills, yeah, I get it. Toronto has a minor league team in Buffalo, not for the Bills, and I love it. I can't. Their record since that video has gone downhill. Thoroughly enjoying that because their fans think they're going to the Super Bowl every year, and because the Giants and the Jets are in such a mess, so they think they're in the same spot. They're the best at losing. They're the best at losing, and I don't think they're not going. They're not going to the Super Bowl this year. They've played way too bad against mediocre team. Josh Allen, and Cook, they only do so much. Oh man, Buffalo's finally a chance, but they're choke artists. It's just something must be when you put that helmet on, or that uniform, that you can't win when you're supposed to or you need to. And with that, enough Buffalo talk. Let's get into our new pick segment. Woo boo 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 boo. Haynesy'z hot picks. All right, folks, here we go. Let's go with game 1, 1 p.m. start on Fox. We got the Packers and the Lions. All right, you got the Lions -3. You know the old saying, you get 3 points just for being the home team. So Vegas is basically looking at this as an even matchup. After watching the Lions with the Giants last week, I'm going Green Bay. I think Green Bay gets it done on the road here. The Lions, same thing, just kind of inconsistency. The defense is there one week and then not there another week. And I think Love will have a big game. And I think Packers. I think Packers easily cover, but I think they win that game. Game 2, Chiefs at Cowboys, because of course, I'm just so tired of every fucking Thanksgiving I have to see that stupid stadium and those stupid damn uniforms, and I have to look at Jerry Jones's dumbass face up there. Kansas City 3.5-point favorites. I would love to see Kansas City. I'd love to see them go in there and beat them up, but Dallas has been good at home. Dak's been good at home, and the Chiefs have been struggling. I think the Chiefs win, but I think Dallas covers the 3.5. I think that game will end up on a late game field goal, and whether it's to take the lead or win by 3. So I'm gonna take Dallas to cover that, and then that gets us into the night game, our 8:20 slot. Of course, everybody likes that 8:20, huh? NBC Peacock. You got the 3-8 Bengals, all right, and the 6-5 Ravens. Okay, -7. I thought the Ravens would just hammer on the Jets. I think the spread was 13 last week. I picked the Ravens to cover that. 7 is just such a tough number, because you can get a field goal late or trying to score quick, and if you get up, too much, you might lack a little bit on defense. Just try not to give up big plays. I think overall, what's the over-under on this? 252. Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit of a high-scoring, affair. Cincinnati's defense sucks. I think Baltimore's, clicking at the right time. Obviously Lamar being back and healthy is a game changer. So I'm going to take Baltimore to cover that. I think they'll win by 10 or more. Packers cover, Cowboys cover, Ravens cover. There you go, folks. 3 picks. And we'll see. Will I go over 3 or 3 for 3? We'll find out. But I look forward to catching up with you on that. That'll do it for Haynesy'z Hot Picks, and we'll be back after this, and we're going to go ahead and close it on out here soon. All right, and for one final time, let's sandstorm it up. I hope I don't get any copyright issues on that. All right, that's going to do it for episode 2 of Haynesy'z Hot Takes. Just kind of my thoughts on everything that's going on. Again, we got huge slate of college basketball games today, tomorrow. Some great tournaments going on. Potential good matchups. Don't want to see any upsets because hopefully we can get these games that we want to see. And tomorrow, obviously, big slate of football as well, too. So thanks for taking your time and spending it with me. I love you more than you'll ever know. I look forward to the next time we can get together and chat. And until then, folks, have a happy Thanksgiving. Stay sweet. Haynesy out.
Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more. Stay sweet, folks.